two that just came in relevant to, I guess, this part here is toxicity of the products in the dome specifically and EMF testing, whether or not it's safe.
Yes, the dome has we have the same production as Clearlight. So they are produced in the same company. We just had to change the frequency to make it more heat. Well, look, a sauna is designed to make you sweat. A hyperthermia dome is designed to bring up your body core temperature. So it penetrates deeper and it has more grunt to elevate the temperature. And that's why, near infrared, for example, warms the body, but it doesn't cause any kind of heat, but it's very healthy for your cells. So most saunas are in a different frequency range to induce that health effect, whereas we focus more on really bringing up the heat. And that's why they are produced in the same way. There are two heaters on top of each other in reverse motion to completely cancel out all EMF. The dome is out of non-treated wood internally with those heaters. All cables are shielded, and the vinyl outside, we had organic hemp for a while, which was a nightmare. Those domes looked so ugly after 2 or 3 treatments from the sweat and from the fingers and touch, and we couldn't clean them, we couldn't sterilize them. So we went back to a non-toxic vinyl that you can wipe off, and that is completely clean. I see, just because I'm talking about that right now, that some people ask, can I do the same thing in a sauna? You will probably not achieve core temperature elevation. A sauna is designed to make you sweat. It brings up the temperature of your blood so that you sweat, but it doesn't go deep enough and it doesn't create that effect that your body temperature goes up. Get the iCelsius, you can order it as a separate device, and then just plug that into your butt and sit half an hour into your sauna or an hour and see what happens. Usually you don't have any increase in body core temperature. And if, then it's marginal. It's very, very little because you never get over that fever resistance. See, your body fights against fever. So as soon as you start going into the dome, let's say you have 37 even, you probably go down to 36.5, 36.6 as a counter reaction. Your body tries to cool down with the sweating, with everything, to not have heat. And then you break that through, and then you go the other side up. And that's where normal domes and normal saunas don't have enough grunt to make you have that fever.
I think that answers, because we got a few questions coming in about the heaters, whether it's infrared and how the dome creates that increased body temperature.
Yeah, it's infrared. Look, infrared is a quite wide spectrum, and you can go more towards the near infrared, or you can go right center infrared. We are on the upper side of the frequency just to increase that heat build up in the body faster.
Okay, if you have a hard time with heat, how do you go about treatment without passing out?
I wouldn't call it a passing out or heat. It's unpleasant for no, it's not true. I had actually some people go into the dome and fall asleep and enjoy the treatment all the way through. I don't know. I struggle with the heat. What you do is you just slow the process of heat up, down. See, we have two agendas, and one agenda would be to have as fast as possible temperature so that we can hold it longer, because you don't want to stretch out that treatment for eternity. If you have an hour heat up time or 2 hour heat up time, then you're not likely to stay an hour in fever. Your connection seems low. Camera off. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Sounds clear on my end. It's why I turned my camera off, just because it was cutting out a little bit. So I hope everyone can hear us fine.
Okay, because it just says here your connection seems low at the moment, so you're not able to share video. Okay. Yeah. And yes, this is recorded, so I will post that afterwards up so that you have all the Q&As as well. Yeah, that's one factor. You don't want to do too slowly the heat up time. You want to make it quite fast and significant. And that's why push as much as you can without stressing too much or without causing too much, drama inside the body.
Yeah, on another note for that, for those who would struggle or do struggle with actually bringing that temperature up and you want to start off using it as a sauna, we will post out the article this evening, which is for you tomorrow morning. But in general, even just the use of a sauna, and even if you're doing that for a more intense process that's kind of getting that core temperature up, but not quite fully building to that fever, if you're struggling with that, even just that use, it reduces the risk of Alzheimer's disease by, I think it was 65%, so it's quite high. If you're using a sauna 2 or 3 times a week, it reduces cardiovascular risks, it reduces depression, as well as premature death or mortality. So there are so many benefits that even just a sauna therapy can provide you. So I think that's something to consider if you are struggling with the heat aspect and you're not 100% sure if you can actually bring it up to that hypothermia straight away. That's fine. That's why it's the dome is great, because you can do both treatments.
Yeah. Let me clarify one thing here, because it's like, where are the infrared heaters and is it like a biomat? When you go into the dome, the mat that you lay on is one continuous mat with far infrared. So it's the whole length of the dome that you lay on is far infrared. The upper dome, which is the upper part that you slide up and down, is complete all around you, far infrared, and in the bottom you have your feet, and from the foot plate, directly where your feet stand against the bottom, and heater as well. So the total is 2 heaters in the bottom with and 3 heaters with the foot. And then you have in the top dome, you have the intensity heaters, the very strong ones that create that body core temperature to go up. And you have the mat that you lay on. So it's all around. And it is pure far infrared, non-toxic. When you take a biomat and you cut it open, it's internally an electric cable that it's a heat wire. It's the same as a heat blanket. And that goes through crystals, and that's how they say it turns into far infrared. It's actually not far infrared. It's just the electric cable heating the crystals. And it's a big lie that is dished out in those biomats. This is a pure far infrared sauna dome. There is no electricity that you can test except where the cable goes in and out into the domes, and that's the 60 hertz that we can measure, like from any electricity cable. Okay, Deborah, you take the question. They come faster.
I know, they're so fast. And I feel like there's a lot down the bottom that I haven't looked at yet. Okay, so let's go here. Would this unit be durable enough to use in a clinic situation, using it many times daily?
Okay, I was just reading while you read as well. Sorry.
Yes, so you could use
what
this
did you
dome.
say?
You could use this dome in a clinic situation where you're using it daily.
Okay, we have several clinics in America that use our domes. We have chiropractors that use the dome. But it's not an approved treatment. So just be very, very careful. This is why my focus was not, I don't want to fight with medical professionals. I don't want to fight with the system. I don't want to get into legal trouble. You can do to yourself whatever you like. And I can take drugs. I can kill myself. I can do anything. Nobody has any objections. That's still personal choice. But you can also do healthy things to yourself. And that's why we educate people to do it. In the clinic, you need to be very careful when you provide hyperthermia because it's classified as a medical treatment, that you do not get yourself into trouble. I know there is Isaac Elias, there's several clinics in America that offer hyperthermia, but they do it to long-standing clients, to clients which they know the whole family is in support. They have you sign waivers and everything beforehand. It works like a charm. It's like we had it in several clinics, but it's not something you want to market or advertise or promote because it just is a bit on the risky side.
All right, so we've got a little bit of confusion here. So to understand, if we get into the sauna for half an hour to an hour, we will not get into a fever. What's the difference? So
okay, let me go through that once more. I see there's several questions.
Yeah.
I can't be half an hour in the sauna. When you do hyperthermia, you have your head out. And this is probably the most important thing. You have your head out. That makes a huge difference. I have the same problem. If I go into a sauna and I'm in with my head and my whole body, it's paranoia and the hot air to breathe and everything, I usually don't stand longer than half an hour to 20 minutes maximum. When you go into the dome, you have your head out. You have someone to talk to, someone who cools your head. You get something to drink. You can turn on music, meditation tapes. You can watch a movie. You don't, like I installed a little iPad right above my head and I watched a movie while I was in there. So you can distract yourself. You can really focus on visualization, for example, as they do in the clinics. You have someone to talk about problems. Just see it as a healing time. The half hour that you need to get up into temperature goes by very, very fast. Once you break the fever, and this is really, everybody describes it the same. It's not only me, it's everybody has the same experience. Once the body goes above 101.3, it eases. It doesn't get stressful anymore. It's actually very relaxing. All of a sudden you say, oh, I can stay here much longer. It's only that battle to go from no fever into fever, 38.9, 38.5. That's usually the critical point where you say, now it's enough, I get out. And that's where you need that support person to speak you through. Once you go through that point, you can stay in there for long. It's very soothing. It's very relaxing. It's actually like really being sick in bed and being in that sleepy mode. Very beautiful. So don't compare it with a normal sauna where you just sweat.
all right.
Yes, I will upload to YouTube.
Can something bad happen to you if you overheat? So I guess this is where this Celsius comes in.
Yes. If you go without temperature control and you stay too long in the dome and you heat up too much, yes, you can go beyond, because it's artificially induced. It's not naturally. It's artificially induced heat. You can go beyond the 40, I think 46 is the degree, 46 temperature is where your body coagulates protein. That means the proteins in your blood and in your system start like an egg. When you put it, it's liquid inside, and then you put it into hot water. What happens to the protein, the white? It gets hard. And that then causes blood clotting, coagulation, it causes stroke, and that's what we don't want. It's 46. So that's why clinics take you up to 44, 43, 44 in intense hyperthermia where you're sedated. We don't go there. We go not more than 40, maximum 41, which is where every normal fever in every child is easing out. So that's why the temperature control is really critical. You don't want to do it without that temperature probe.
No, and you definitely, you turn it off at that 39 mark.
39.
And then
exactly,
you let your body do the
103.
rest. Yeah.
Yeah. And the body regulates fever so perfectly. You know, it never goes higher. We had people with triple infections. We had a client that went in and he bought a dome and he asked me to be there with his first treatment. And he went in and after 15 minutes, he had his fever going up to 40 in a few minutes. And we already thought, wow, that's fast. And he stayed in that 41, which even the dome, we took the dome off and cooled him down. He stayed at 41 Celsius for 2.5 hours. And then the body slowly eased out. And he had more or less a miraculous recovery afterwards, because that's what his body needed to kill the infections. He had EBV, he had Lyme disease, he had cancer, he had several infections at the same time. And when you think of it, you stop the reproduction cycle of all infections plus the reproduction cycle of your cancer cells, and you weaken and compromise them. That's how most people experience hyperthermia. It's just that, it's, how do you say that? It's just like a longer lease of life. It's, you get so much energy and stop that reproduction that is gone out of hand anyway.
Yeah, all I can say is if you are worried, just start slow. So go up to your 38, turn it off. Great. What a success. Next time, maybe bring it up to 38.5, then turn it off. Like, you don't rush into it, get comfortable, and you'll notice how great you feel after the therapy.
Exactly. And Deborah, you just said it so nice. The biggest problem is, let's put grandma in the oven and kill the cancer. 44, okay, let's bring it up. That is the wrong attitude, and the person who is in charge of temperature control should have a treatment first, because then they know how it feels. Don't push, don't overwhelm, don't stress. You have the dome at home. You can do it every week once. So slowly build up, like Deborah said, 38.5 first time, or 38 first time, then 39, and then slowly go up. And don't go past the point of 39.5 as a heat up. And then always pull the plug. Your body learns. Maybe not the first time, but the second time, the third time, you will see that your body uses the suggestion, as I call it. It's a very intense suggestion. And then says, oh, I forgot. That's actually how I should respond. Oh, I actually should have a fever. It helps. And then the body does the rest. So just remind your body and don't force it.
Yeah, that brings me to another question that was a little further down. If you have the hypothermia treatment and you bring up that fever temperature, and then I think the question was, is it okay if the fever drops after an hour or two? I believe that was the question.
Yeah.
So yes. That is essentially the whole therapy.
Yes.
What is the maximum height?
You mean for big people, voluminous people like me, or long length?
I think length was the question, but voluminous is also a question.
Okay, I am 1.9 meters tall. What is that? 6'3", 6'2", 6'4", something like that. And I fit perfectly into the dome without any problems. Volumen, well, my belly is pretty close to the heaters. So I'm a big guy, and I have not a lot of wiggle space, as we call it. So if you are very big and big voluminous, then you might struggle with the dome. For any, well, let's say normal shape, if we can say it that way, the slimline people, they have even plenty of wiggle space.
That's another question on the physical dimension of this unit. When shipped, what is the weight? I don't know that off the top of my head. Do you?
Let me just check. I just closed everything else to not. I will put that on the website. I will put it on the website. All the details, he sent them to me yesterday. I will do that and update it on the shopping cart page.
Cool. I'm just scrolling down to see if there's any specific questions that I've missed. There was a lot of different cancer ones regarding does it work for this cancer, spine cancer, brain cancer.
Okay, brain cancer. Because the head is out. So a lot of people think maybe that won't work for cancer. And it's always that we think locally. And yes, with the brain cancer, it's a local cancer, but it's always a systemic disease. See, cancer is not just in one place where it grows. It's always a systemic problem. And that's why the effects, the cytokine production, the immune response, everything is still happening. If you have cancer, you usually have bacterial overgrowth as well. You also have viral overgrowth. They haven't found a single person with cancer that had not co-infections. It's always a combination. So don't think of it as a local treatment. If you want local treatment, go to Germany and have local hyperthermia. I think there are several clinics now in America. I think it's been approved. In Australia, there's 6 clinics now that offer local hyperthermia. They put a bolus directly on where the tumor is, and they heat with radio waves and far infrared waves, go through the body and heat up exclusively the cancer or the tumor. They do that for brain as well. Right and left side of the brain, they radiate through and heat up the tumor exclusively, and the surrounding tissue stays cool. That is a medical treatment. Those devices are $200,000, so you don't want to buy them for home use. But they work. So if you have the money and you can afford a clinic that does local hyperthermia, that is phenomenal. But it's a different treatment. We're talking here about an immune boosting treatment that also reduces the cancer load. But the main factor that we want to achieve is the flagging with heat shock proteins, the increase in white blood cells that we need to fight any cancer. And it's also the oxygenation and detoxification. That's why I went through the slideshow that you don't think it's killing exclusively cancer cells. It just marks your cancer cells to be killed by your immune system.
Following on from that, someone asked, is it beneficial if you don't have a diagnosis but want to achieve optimal immune system?
Yes, that's the best. That is by far the best. That's what sports people do. You know, I sometimes wonder, we have those people who have health conscious attitude. They do those treatments and they know about those treatments. When I went to that clinic in Gießen, in Gesund Clinic, God, there was like top athletes and they had a fitness studio and then they went into hyperthermia and they checked their performance. They did PMF. They had ozone treatments, you know, before they went to competitions, and it was totally normal. And they use it as a legal doping. And then you have on the other side people that use it for health, but there's all shades of gray in between. So you don't think you need to do it only as a really sick and dying person.
Another question. So I have Lyme. Is 10 sessions the magic number when to stop, or is doing hyperthermia a lifelong process to keep the immune system strong?
Okay. You never ever get rid of any infection, whether that's Lyme or HIV or EBV or Corona. It will always live within you. Your body has learned to handle, has learned to deal with it to a certain degree and holds it in check, but it's always there. Now that means if you have your inner milieu, your inner environment that promotes the growth, let's say you have high candida, high sugar loads, a bad diet, low oxygen, that makes your virus and your bacteria and your cancer cell grow. So let's say you do the treatment and let's call it a magic number 10. That's when your body is well activated, your immune system works properly, you have probably detoxified enough. You never know, people come with different degrees of toxicity. So you've broken most of it down, and then you go to bi-weekly, and then you go to once a month. But it's actually a lifelong maintenance. And that's why healthy people usually don't stop living healthy. They don't all of a sudden eat junk food. They keep eating healthy food. They do exercise and sweat and activate their immune system. So it's like, don't see it as a treatment just to get well, and then you go back to your couch potato attitude. You see it as an ongoing health performance support.
It's the same with lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Okay, so question here. Does it matter if you drink cold, hot, or room temperature? No, although I would say cold water is probably preferred. Yes.
I have mine with ice cubes in it because you're so hot inside, it actually feels really, really good.
All right, let me scroll back to the top. I got a little bit lost down the bottom. Okay.
Yeah. How would you combine this treatment with the 10-pass ozone? Well, there's nothing better than that. You have, and whether it's a 10-pass of ozone or whether you do rectal insufflation, you do that prior to that, which means all your activation of cytokines, communication, everything is activated. And then you go into the dome, your response will be, that's why I said PMF or ozone will do the same thing prior to going in, and it just activates your whole system. And that's a perfect combination.
Okay, with your travels with IV vitamin C, this was done before or ever during hyperthermia?
You can do it either way. In the clinics, they do it while you are in the dome. They set up the drip and drip IV vitamin C into your veins while you are in there. Some clinics do it before. We just found out that it works just the same. We have several clients that can go to their local doctor, have an IV vitamin C, 30 grams, 50 grams of vitamin C, and then they go home and go into the dome, which means it's circulating through the system, and then they go into the dome, bring temperature up, and they have those extended results. That's why I was showing that on one of the slides. It's a really, really cool combination when you do it that way. You push first with PMF or ozone, then have your IV, and then you go at home into the dome. It just saves you thousands of dollars. It's really significant.
Someone having multiple sclerosis is heat sensitive. Do you have any thoughts for them?
Help me out.
Well, look, I think that's one of the things that just you need to go slow. Obviously, if you're heat sensitive due to having that condition to begin with, I think pulling through the hyperthermia treatment might be difficult.
Let's have a short look. Multiple sclerosis, MS. The main triggers, the main causes is what they say is deficiencies, toxicity of heavy metals. It's not related to infections, right?
I can be. It's the immune system has attacked the nerve, so everything is in that hyperactive. There's high inflammation.
Yeah. Well, look, there's so many things you can do. I would be also quite slow. The detox process. I spoke with a lot of clinics in Germany and said, why don't you do all the detox processes and chelation? And why don't you have clay bath and this and that? And they all said, because we have hyperthermia. Who cares about all those minor means if we have the biggest means at hand? And when a person goes into a sauna or goes into the hyperthermia dome and has fever, they sweat so many toxins out of their system like nothing else. And that's why we don't need anything else. If we combine it with vitamin C, we have like a super detox in one treatment. And because the infliction to the nervous system due to often heavy metals, maybe it can be bacterial load as well. that is reduced dramatically. So just take it easy. Start out with sauna treatments, build up slowly, and then ease very gently into fever and see how your body responds.
Yeah, and definitely have someone there who can really assist through it, whether or not that is propping up the sides or even just working prior with a practitioner to actually really work on building that myelin sheath before going into
CBD, very good. Protecting the myelin sheath of the nerves.
Right, let's have a look. The website will not.
What frequency would you recommend for late stage cancer? Once a week. Don't do it more often. Do ozone daily and once a week hyperthermia. They said they don't recommend to do more treatments because the effects of the treatment are what actually makes the difference. See, the fever itself, when you start having the fever and you go up into that high temperature, then you hold it for an hour or two. That's when your white blood cells and your red blood cells are built in the bone marrow and flushed out into the system. During that 2 hours, all your immune system is flagged, and not the immune system, the other way around. The pathogens and cancer cells are flagged. They have the green hair. Now you have millions of new white blood cells going out, and those blood cells, the white blood cells, are eating up all compromised and infected cells. So give them the time to do their job, which is usually a week. And you take it easy during that week. You just don't overexhaust. You allow your body, like when you were sick, what do? You sleep, you go into bed. Same thing here. That's why I say always do the treatment in the afternoon and then ease into a nice evening, stay in bed, sleep. You sleep like a baby and do some magnesium on top of that to help with the sleep. And that is what really does the healing. And then allow the immune system to kill off everything that's flagged and then go back into your dome the week after and build up. It will be the rest and the calm and the quiet and the peaceful time will actually be more helpful than doing the treatment twice a week.
We've had someone get a decline.
Rheumatoid arthritis. Yes. Sorry, Deborah. I just read it. I was very excited about it. Rheumatoid arthritis is very, very often related to infections in your joints and bacteria overgrowth. It's really, really cool. So if you do that, again, start slowly. You might have pain in the beginning. You might have really tinkly feeling in your joints. But after a while, after 2 or 3 sauna treatments, slowly easing into fever and bringing it up, you will see that reverses very fast.
Yeah, and on that was the autoimmune conditions. So other autoimmune conditions as well, definitely.
Yes.
All right.
How would you combine this treatment with 10-pass? We have that already.
I had a question, but then can you get the eye Celsius separately? Yes.
Yes. Very cool. If you have a sauna and you want to try out whether you get into fever, then order the eye Celsius separately. It's shipped from America now. So lucky we got them there. So you can just order the eye Celsius on the website. Do you want me to post the link? I'll just do that shortly. And then you can order it directly there. And that is really, really great because that allows you to check if your dome actually gets you into fever or your sauna. I'm almost there. Deborah, you read the next question in the meantime.
Yep. What frequency would you recommend? I'm assuming that's for PMF. I keep scrolling down. I keep losing my position.
I'm posting at the moment a link, so that should be right up on top from me. and that's Healthy to Be Hypersona store, and that's where you find the dome, and you find at the same time the iCelsius. So you can order either of the two with that link.
Okay, what about metal joints such as knees and shoulders?
No problems. It's internally, and therefore the body deflects the heat. They use it in some clinics even to reduce inflammation. A lot of people, after they had the surgery and those implants, have infections, have high inflammation in that area, have problems with the absorption of the heat, and not absorption, the connection, the tissue connection. So they use the fever in that case to get rid of that inflammation, get rid of that infection, oxygenate that area. It is very helpful, and no contraindication. Like I said, the only contraindication for any implants is breast implants, because that silica is very toxic and releases those toxins under heat.
Okay. And do you know of anyone with fluid around the lungs using this dome, pleural effusion?
No.
No. I assume
you don't get it from the treatment, but if you already have it, the fluid in your lungs,
that is likely a contraindication.
I wouldn't know. They still do it in Dr. Dowers. They drain the fluid and then they put people into hyperthermia. It's not a contraindication. And if you can still breathe and breathe oxygen, it might not be challenging, but just be very, very slow and gentle. See, I'm not scared of this treatment because I don't go in and go to maximum. I go in and start out very gentle. And I just do a little bit and then see how my body responds. And then I build up a little bit more and a little bit more. So there's no need. We had 5 domes in Las Vegas at our conference, and we had 5 people go in straight away in the morning having treatment, and then the next 5 people going in 3 hours later, and then the next group went in the evening. So we did in total 15 people, and all of them went up in fever within 15, 20 minutes. They all developed the 108, 108.3, I think it is, the temperature, the 39. Then we pulled the plug from the wall. If the fuse didn't pop, they popped several times because the hotel wasn't laid out for that much power consumption. And then everybody had high fever, went up to 39, up to 40. We cooled them down, took them down. And that was, a mass treatment with all people just helping each other. It was phenomenal. And not one person had problems or stress or any kind of negative side effects.
Got another question with how easy is it to use it without an assistant?
Okay. Look, if you just do sauna, no problem. If you just do very early stages of light fever induced, also no problem. If you can be clear and say, I pull the plug at 38.5, which is just, breaking through that fever, but you don't induce any fever after that or heat, then that's fine too. I still would like to have someone who cools my head. I still would like to have someone that keeps talking to me and says, stay in, relax. So that's something I prefer. But like I said, I've tried it alone. It worked. Many people do it alone and it works, but just be very cautious. You don't want to knock yourself too high and just, have no one to help or to control.
Are the domes shipped worldwide? I live in Canada.
Yes, they're shipping worldwide. And free shipping.
Okay.
At the moment, that's a big risk on my side because the shipping costs are going through the roof.
We've had a few people who've said that they've tried to purchase, but they get an error. So I don't know if you know what's happening there.
No, I just read that. Try to make a purchase. Well, normally because it's an overseas payment, so we are in Australia. So normally, let me just see, purchases now. If I click, then processing. Just there is often when it's an overseas transaction, your credit card company blocks your payment and says that could be fraud. So simply call them. There is a number on the back of your credit card. Just call that number and say you're trying to purchase a dome and you would like to how do you say? You would like to clear those funds, allow that transaction. Then they do it. They clear the funds. Some credit card companies send you a text message or give you a call. Just say it's a legal transaction with Healthy to Be or Truly Heal, and then do it again, and then it should work because it works here on my side perfectly. And I had 3 orders come in right now. So Stripe, yep. The payment has worked. So the order works. Jeff just ordered a dome and we had an order for Marion. So just call your credit card company. It should work.
Once they've reached the target temperature, can they go to another room to free up the unit to treat another person? Yes.
Oh, yes. That's why I said when you're finished with the dome, go out, have a warm shower, and then go to bed. And wherever you lay down, wrap yourself. Wool is very, very powerful. So you can put on an organic pajama or a cotton pajama and then take a wool. Some people actually do, and you see that in some clinics too. They take those thermo sheets, like those, you can buy them in any outdoor shop. Those thermo sheets, they wrap themselves so that the heat stays in the body. And that really, it's like cooking an egg, like a potato in the fire. You just keep the heat inside and have the effects extended. But just drink plenty and don't overheat. Keep your temperature checking. It really is something you don't want to overdo because it can be quite exhausting if you overdo it.
Yeah, and definitely hydrate.
Exactly. And there's no EMF concerns with the dome. That was my biggest problem. Like when I ordered all my domes in the beginning, I ordered the Sunlight and then the Clearlight and then some China domes and then some eBay domes and some Amazon domes. And when we tested the heaters, it was a real nightmare. Clearlight was by far the best. I really applaud the effort. Andy was creating the design with those 2 heaters on top of each other, reversed, and therefore canceled out all EMF. And that's why we chose to work with the same company to make our heaters, because they have no EMF radiation.
How long does delivery take?
That's at the moment really challenging. It can take up to 8 to 10 days. I have no big influence on that because FedEx is in delay. They are all sending us notifications that due to the high volume, even Amazon has delayed orders now. They can't do next day shipping anymore. So we just need to live with what we get. So it can take 10, 14 days.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look. Anything else?
Well, let's just say if somebody really feels that their question has not been answered and we ignored, then please just write it now up on top and I'll monitor the top while Deborah searches below.
So I found another question below. Does the unit work on both 110 volt and 220 volt?
Yes. Yes.
The other question they had is if I buy it in the US and bring it to UK, is that a possibility?
Why don't you want to ship it straight away? It's a huge thing that you don't want to ship yourself.
A lot of taxes. That was why.
And UK has, that's why. So,
yeah.
Look, we ship it with a value, I think, My shipper does it with a value of $300 or so. Don't stress out. The package will say shipping value $350 or so to keep your costs down. Don't stress out. Even to UK, that's a minimal fee, and we've been getting away with it without problems. Right now, nobody has time to check websites, so I think there should be no problems. We did that because of European countries who struggle with 20% tax on top and duty, just to avoid those extreme costs.
All right. I'm still scrolling down the bottom, so I don't know if anything new came up top.
Okay, lymphatic tumors, lymphatic cancer. The only way I can get surgical treatment is life and death, because they are all very hard and treat areas, spine, nerve, muscles, start. Look, I would talk to a doctor. See, this is distant diagnosis. I see your problem and I see it's progressed. Lymphatic cancer and lymph cancer is really, really responding well to heat, because you stop the cycle of reproduction. If your bacteria and viral load in the lymphatic system is overgrowing and can't deal with it anymore, then that is one of the best treatments. So I know they use it for lymphatic cancer, but you might look, just call any of the German clinics and speak with them and ask them if hyperthermia would be an option for you. They're all very helpful. I have not had any feedback negative, and they can give you a really well personalized. Maybe you need to pay them a short consultation fee, but it would give you a lot of safety and security also in combination with your condition, what medication you're on and what they would recommend. It's very difficult for me to give you, that specific help, but I know they use it for lymphatic cancer.
Yeah, on any of the, I guess, diagnoses or disease states or conditions someone has, remember that whether that is hyperthermia, PMF therapy, or ozone therapy, which are all incredible therapies, or IV supplementation, again, always going back to that functional approach, which we try to educate, and looking at what else can we do to remove the causes of that disease, which would help make hyperthermia, PMF, and all of the treatments even more effective. So it's always bringing it back down to the basics and going, okay, this treatment is fantastic, it's great, I'm going to utilize that, but I also need to do the groundwork and actually look at what has
remove the cause.
Yeah, always bringing it back down to that. Like, no matter what issue or symptom or problem that we have, there is a lot we can do for it, but hypothermia or any treatment can only go so far when we haven't actually looked at what caused the problem and removed those causes.
Exactly. And lung cancer, yes, it's used for lung cancer. There's actually quite a bit of research on that. So again, what causing the lung cancer? Is it the toxicity? Have you been exposed to mold? Have you been exposed to asbestos? There's so many questions that we need to check. What drives your cancer? And then not just do the treatment, but actually look at what needs to be resolved. If it's a detox problem, it will certainly help. If it's an infectious problem that the infection is triggering that, then it will help. So always look at what drives the disease. I just purchased 3 laundry. Do I get further discount? Look, they're already discounted. I've taken the laundry down $150. There's hardly anything left, especially with shipping at the moment. The dome is dramatically discounted. I'm really sorry. This is the lowest we can go. Can you use this in idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis? Deborah, that's one of yours. You can take that in the meantime. I go very short with Harry's answer. Ozone in the dome. And that's something I wanted to talk to anyway. If you take ozone rectal insufflation, you have tons of research how well it works. If you have tons of research how well it works. So at the same time is brand new. Number two was invented as you do it without steam. It is very detrimental. It's actually very negative because you cause a high depletion of antioxidants. So I wouldn't recommend that. If you do it in a steam sauna, it's the ozone reacts with the steam and with the water, and then the effect. So you can do that. And even there, if I increase the concentration a little bit too much ozone and not enough steam, I get those rashes. So very, very critical. You don't want to do that. That's why we don't combine. A rectal insufflation takes 3 minutes. And then going into the dome, how cool is that? Then I have the effects of one treatment and the effects of another treatment compiled. Sauna inside the dome. Like I said, new invention, no research. The studies that you see or the reports that by the companies who produce those equipments, and they are very biased. I don't buy into that, and I don't support it at all. So I would, and just do things that are.
Hello? I think I keep cutting out here, so I'm not sure if anyone's still talking. Hello?
Okay. I'm here. I am here. Can you hear me? Hello.
I can't hear anything. Maybe if anyone in the chat can hear me. You're going in.
I'm still talking.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll just mute it and then unmute it and see if that works.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Yes, okay. Well, I guess it's a viral overload in the internet. Too many people at home and enjoying. Marcus was breaking up 1 minute ago, but I'm back on now. You can hear me? Can you hear me now?
Okay, I'm back on, I think.
Okay.
Hello? Okay, you're back.
Okay, sorry. I don't know. You know, everybody at home, they all complain internet speeds are going down. I think if people not going to work or working over the internet is quite challenging.
Yes, definitely slowed things down a little bit.
Exactly. iCelsius app is online on the App Store. It's for free, so you can download that. You need the device to make it work, but they have a demo setting, so you can actually go through and turn it on and run it as a demo to test it out before you get your device, just to get all the settings done. And I'll set the table and the needs. I don't have it on a table, Alexander. I have it on my bed. It's actually, the mat is quite hard. So if I put that on a soft surface like my bed, it makes the whole thing more comfortable to lay for 2 hours. So just put it on a bed or something soft that you have.
So just got the comment in, we missed a big part of that ozone. That's probably when I had the cutout issue as well.
Okay. Ozone is proven to work on its own as a rectal insufflation or as major autohemotherapy. Hyperthermia and sauna is proven with hundreds of research studies. So just do your ozone rectal insufflation, 3-minute treatment, and then you go into the dome and have your hyperthermia treatment. That means you double the effects of both treatments. Really, really powerful. using a bag and going into the dome with a full body bag is not proven. This is a 2-year-old or 1.5-year-old treatment invented by a company that sells those full body bags and those saunas, and they are struggling with rashes, with negative side effects, with depleted biome in the skin, making them more vulnerable. I don't endorse this treatment, and I do not stand behind it because it has no research besides what the company publishes, and that's always biased. So as long as I don't have a combination treatment as an independent research, I will not support it. And I think it's important for you to do things that you know that work, where you have the research, and it makes your life so much less complicated.
That is true. Can the body become sensitized to a treatment, making subsequent treatment less effective?
No, the other way around. Your body becomes more and more and more activated so that all other treatments have double the response. It's the same. If you start using ozone, all of your other treatments will work. Your supplement uptake will work. Same thing here with fever therapy. Go back and look at children. And I don't know if you have children and who asked the question, Wilfred. If you have children and they go into a fever, they have that 2 days of high fever in bed and they go through whatever childhood disease. Afterwards, they have grown, they have matured, they will have a much better resilience. They will have a mega development, mental development during that time. And that is because the body has brought everything back into homeostasis. Every overgrowth, every imbalance is balanced back into normal. You will find that people who do regular hyperthermia treatment or who have that regular fever from the normal cold mature a lot better. Their whole systems work far better. So to the contrary, it's actually really, really beautiful.
Dimensions of the table needed to support the dome. So you can actually put the dome onto a bed, for example. It doesn't need to specifically be a table.
Okay, let me just pull this up. I had it yesterday. And the dimensions I have here. Okay, the dimensions. Here is the mat is 28 inches wide and 72 inches long. The dome is 70 inches and 28.5 wide. So it stands right and left side over the mat so that when you lay on it, it actually goes wider than the mat. So if you have a table and you would like to put it on top with a foam mat or something underneath, just do it something like 29 wide, 30 wide inches and 72 inches long, and that's fine.
Okay,
and don't ask me to convert that into centimeters. I'll upload the dimensions and the weight and everything to the website so that you have those details there. The height of the dome is 18.5 inches high. So the packing will be roughly, if you take the whole package, it's about 20 inches high by 30 inches wide by 35 inches long.
All right.
But like I said, I'll put that on the website.
Yeah. With the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, sorry, that was a question a long time ago. So that is the scarring and thickened tissue of the lungs. So that is scarring. But often they say that it is, for example, chronic inflammatory processes which actually cause that damage in the lungs, as well as infections and different toxic exposures. So for the cause aspect, obviously hyperthermia is beneficial, but again, due to the fact that it is scarring of the lung tissue, it would be wise to be careful when raising that temperature.
I just answered in writing to Barry, can the unit be used as a sauna only? Yes, just stay in shorter, or don't turn it up to 9, turn it up to 5, and then you can do it as a beautiful sauna treatment. Forgive the redundancy, but I was not able to find the app for iCelsius under shop. No, it's not in my shop. It's App Store, Apple App Store, or Android. You have, I think it's also called the App Store, where you can download apps to your iPad or iPhone or to your Android or tablet, any app store. Not in our shop.
Any suggestions for if blood pressure drops from sauna? That's an interesting one because it actually helps lower cases of high blood pressure due to the fact that it improves the cardiovascular functions. So it's definitely something to monitor if you are more susceptible to having a blood pressure drop from a sauna. So again, I think this is where you need to potentially have someone who can monitor your blood pressure to check how you're feeling throughout the treatment. There's not a lot of space to elevate legs or anything like that during the therapy.
A little bit, yeah, but not too much.
Put a small pillow in there. But again, yeah, with the heat, obviously some people are more susceptible to that, and that's something to monitor. Definitely stay conscious of that fact. And
what you can also do, just to mention that very shortly, those little oxygen clips that you clip on your finger, they actually work really well on your earlobe. So if you clip it to your earlobe, you can check there the same pulse and blood pressure and oxygen saturation. It's in my case, it works identically the same. They don't write it, but I've tried it, and because my head is out, and that worked really well.
Okay, so I've received
Google Play, yes. App Store and Google Play. Thank you, Amy. What makes the dome heat up? Well, it's far infrared. It's far infrared carbon heaters. And those carbon heaters, there are two heaters on top of each other, reversed, and therefore they cancel each other out and makes them EMF free.
With IV vitamin C, is the lower gram dose or higher dose better in combination with hyperthermia?
20 doctors, 20 opinions.
Yeah.
And it was one of those questions, when we went from clinic to clinic, and I was asking about what treatments the clinics do. Every single doctor asked me, "Oh, what are the others using? What are their results?" And it's kind of funny. They came to a conclusion that extreme high, those 60 and 80 grams, were actually counterproductive. They didn't have the same positive results as the 20 and 30 gram IVs. So that's what I remember. And that was about 2 years ago when I was last confronted with that question. But I think it has not changed. It's most of the clinics that went with those extreme high concentrations have reduced back again and are going with 20, 30 grams per vitamin C per infusion.
I'm starting to get confused.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
I think we've got pretty much everything covered.
I got an email just a little bit beforehand. So if you do have, any questions that weren't answered, or you still have a few things that you want addressed before you feel like you're ready to try out that treatment, just send us an email and we can answer them for you. As well as if you have any issues, I got an email, issues with payment, then let us know as well. And obviously we'll sort that out.
Well, Payment definitely works. We had 6 orders now come through, so it definitely works. If there is a problem with your credit card, just call the credit card company, clear the funds or clear the transaction, and then it works perfectly. So it's not the card. Thanks God. One time, not my problem. Okay, I think we've got it. Like Deborah said, send us question, contact at Truly Heal. Just type that very short.
Yep, I will.
Contact at trulyheal.com. And that comes to Deborah and me. We both monitor this email address. We both wrote it now, so we both have it. And that means if any questions, just send them off to us and we are happy to respond. I'll upload the webinar now so that you can watch the replay. I'll also upload it to YouTube so you can do pause and forward and backward if you want. You've downloaded the slides. I hope you all have done that. The files, the slides, the hyperthermia checklist is both there. And thank you all for joining in. It was a real pleasure. You know, I'm passionate about this treatment, and I hope I was able to pass some of my passion for this treatment on to you.
And thanks for staying on for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true. You all have a wonderful weekend ahead. Enjoy the quiet and peace. Do lots of breathing exercises. One of the main things is oxygen in your system. If you don't want to get sick, oxygen. Stand out on the balcony if you're not allowed to go out in parks. Just stand on the balcony or on your veranda and just do breathing exercises. It's such an important part of resting the mind, coming back to yourself, calming down from all the stress that we have, and supporting your immune system at the same time. Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you all.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
See ya.